So one of the main questions we get asked in our group is what should I be looking out for if I want to purchase an older mobile home or a mobile home in general? And it really depends on the era of the house. Really, it does. Take a home from the 50s or 60s, like mine is. You take a home from that era. If your floor is good and the roof doesn't leak, water damage is the biggest concern from a home from the 50s or the 60s because for one they've been around for so long, the chances of water damage happening are substantial. I had some water damage in mine. Wasn't aware of it necessarily when I moved in. I was aware of prior water damage. I was not aware that the water was still leaking in, and we've got that fixed now. But if you take home from the 50s or 60s, you're going to find that most of the floors are plywood. Um, they use 2x8 joist on most of them. You have usually copper plumbing, copper electrical. Definitely you have regular metal bathtubs and regular sinks. So really, from a home from that era, you don't have that much to worry about. If it looks solid, it's pretty much going to be solid. They used a lot of different woods back then than what they do now. My home definitely wasn't built with pine. So a lot of the woods really held up. You want to make sure underneath that you don't have any rot, and you want to make sure that you don't have any water damage, and you want to make sure to look for any do-it-yourself projects that probably should have been hired out to a professional. We found one or two of those in our house, and I'm going, oh my gosh, really? Yeah, one of them was a floor joist was cut and left dangling, a support joist was just dangling underneath the house to install new ductwork and a few other things. But for the most part, my house was in really good shape. When you get into the 70s and 80s, that's when things start getting a little more interesting. Uh, that's when we started using a lot of, faux wood, not so good materials all the time, depending on the builder, especially in the late 70s. You had a lot of that. You have aluminum wiring starting to make its way in. You have a few things that you really need to worry about, but for the most part, if you don't have any aluminum wiring, you should probably be okay. Just check for water damage, check for structural stability, and once again, check for do-it-yourself projects. Late 70s into the 80s and 90s. Once you get into the mid 80s, you can pretty much forget aluminum wiring. That was pretty much gone away with by that time. But one of the new challenges that came in was particle board everything. Everything was particle board. Your flooring, your cabinets, and a lot of times the air ducts will sweat underneath the house and cause that particle board just to rot. I have had so many mobile homes in the 80s, and every one of them had floor issues. Maybe nothing else wrong, floor issues. 80s, once again, there was a certain type of siding they used. Kind of looks like the hardy plank siding that you see on the houses now, but it's not. It was actually recalled because, like the particle board floors, they rot. I would say, and while I like some of the designs, the 80s were the worst era to purchase a mobile home in. Most of them have a lot of problems, and they're very hard to maintain. 90s, and that's the last year. Almost, well, it's 90s is almost vintage now. Can you believe that? 90s, they started correcting a few things. But we still had particle board in a lot of homes. We still had, some of the ductwork issues, but a lot of improvements in the 90s. You found a lot more normal electrical work, a little bit more residential uh, building than what you found in some of the other eras. One thing in the 90s and late 80s into the mid 90s you really need to worry about is if there's carpet in the bathroom, there's probably rot. I don't know why they carpeted bathrooms. I do not know why they carpeted bathtubs. I think it's a stupid idea, especially if you're going to put particle board underneath all that. So if there's carpet in the bathroom, you can pretty much bet the bathroom's going to need some work. Um, Always have an inspector check out a home if you're not sure about something. Older homes, 50s and 60s, asbestos is going to be an issue. I couldn't get anyone to replace the flooring in my house. I had to do it myself because of the asbestos. That's one thing to worry about. The other thing to worry about is how insurable is the home. You won't probably be able to get a mortgage on anything um, past or anything prior to 1980. Just almost forget a mortgage on anything prior to that. Even the 80s is hard. Um, what are local codes in your area? Are you going to be stuck in the park you're at? We are very stuck where we're at, unless we want to buy some land in a very rural area that doesn't consider the age of a mobile home to be an issue. And those areas are very hard to find. And when you do find them, they're in the middle of nowhere. You have to think of all those things because a lot of codes will not allow older mobile homes in. Um, but besides that, they're a pretty sound bet. If you get a house that is over 50 years old and it's here, it's worth saving. Like my house, when we got it, it's over 50 years old. It's just fine. Very minor problems for a house its age. So another thing to look at is additions. How did they add them on? I had to deal with that. Thank God mine's not a full addition. It's more of just an enclosed porch. But still, you have to look into that. Look into park rules. Do you like the park? Is the park looking to get rid of the home? A lot of places are. I'm a huge fan of metal siding and in metal roofs. Even if you're looking to buy a newer mobile home, find find a way to get one with metal siding and a metal roof. You may not be able to buy a brand new one like that. Some manufacturers are still making them like that, but find one with a metal roof and metal siding. You tend to have a lot less water issues with that. That was one really good thing in the 90s. Most of them were metal siding and metal roofs. And as long as you just kind of keep the metal roof up, it will last you forever and ever. I'm a huge fan of that. Anyway, check your windows. They're hard to replace, especially in the really old mobile homes. A lot of them have to be custom, so make sure they all work. If not, just that's going to be a big expense, and there's no way around that. Uh, it's not so easy to go find them. But besides that, owning an older mobile home is great. They're really easy to work on once you know what you're doing. And when you think outside the box, just know you're not going to be able to go to Home Depot and get every part you need. Um, but think outside the box. They're a great option. We love ours. I hope this helps some people out there. If you have any questions, feel free to make a comment, and I will answer any question that I can. Have a great day.